In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16, verses 10, 11, and 12, we're going to go to 10 and 12. Jesus said, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. And if you've not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own?" When I first became a follower of Christ, within just probably a month, maybe 6 weeks, I reestablished a relationship with my uncle, who I'd tried to avoid for a number of years because I was not wanting anything to do with God. He, on the other hand, had given his life to Christ and had become a pastor of a church. And when he heard that I had gotten saved and that my father had restricted me from going to church, and so I moved in with my mother, who was a drug addict, which was his sister, he came to spend time with me, drove all the way down from the Texas Panhandle, spent time in the town where I was, and invited me to come and live with him in the next school year, help him with his church, with his youth group. And he said, "If you do that, I know you've got a call on your life. I'm going to help you go to Bible school." And so it was a deal I could not turn down. And by the way, I idolized this guy when I was younger. He was the only person that gave me coattails to hang on to when I was a kid. He taught me how to play baseball. He taught me so many things about life. Took me camping. I don't know that I ever went maybe once with my mom and dad, but this guy took me camping, took me swimming. I mean, he took my brother and I around and made sure that in 1 week of the year, we got to be around normal people. We didn't get that at home. Now, I went to go help him, and for the first 2 years, the only jobs that he gave to me were manual labor jobs. I had all these ideas. I'm going to go and get to open up and talk and lead groups and all this kind of stuff. Well, none of that happened. I got to clean the church. I had to go every Saturday and vacuum the church, clean the toilets. And one of the things I found out about my uncle, he was super particular about everything. You couldn't just wipe the toilet seat. He made me get on my knees and look all the way around the bottom of that toilet to wipe off anything that was collecting bacteria, any urine stains. It's amazing how many people miss when they go to the toilet. I remember him chewing me out one time royally over the way I mowed the lawn, because he had given me specific instructions about how to mow a particular patch of the lawn right up next to the church's outside wall. There were stickers, grass burrs in that particular part, and he said, "Do not run the mower over these." He said, "If you run the mower over these, it's going to spread these grass burrs all over the yard, and they'll grow up everywhere." So I went down there and mowed right over those. To me, I thought, what's the big deal? And we sure enough scattered the grass burrs all over. And he made me go right back to that site and pick up those scattered grass burrs. And he showed me how that when you come to that kind of a patch, you take a hoe and you dig those up gently and you toss them out of the yard. Take them somewhere else, but you don't want to put them in your grass because all they'll do is spread. And so I learned something from that. I learned if he was giving instructions, and by golly, you better do it the way he said it. And he was particular about everything. One of the things I noticed about him, he had taken this old wood frame church, which is a scary looking building. I remember seeing it before he really got a hold of it. He was brand new the first time I drove by, and I didn't stop. I just drove by quickly, and I thought, wow, this is really a rowdy place. But the next time I came, I was blown away at how different it was. He put curtains on the windows. There was a peacock that lived on the farm. It was a little town, but there was a little farm that butted up next to the church, and there was a peacock that would strut up and down the yard outside that church every Sunday morning, and it was one of the most distracting things, and if you've ever been around peacocks, they make a whole lot of noise, and it's hard not to look out the window. So he put curtains on the window. The old pews were from a much larger building. So the aisle in the middle of the church was only about 2 feet wide. So people got stuck. The old pews had splinters. Women were always ripping their stockings or tearing their dresses. It was really a mess. He went and found pews that were the right size. They were used, but he bought nice pews and put them into that building. Made a big difference. The toilet didn't work. Can you imagine going to church and not having a single toilet? And it just needed a little attention from a plumber. So he cleaned it all up. There was just piles of papers and trash in the toilet. He hauled it all off, fixed the door. They had a little curtain over that toilet room. He fixed the door and got the toilet working. He made that church look like $1 million, even though it wasn't a really nice building. And so I learned something from him. That if you're going to do anything, you have to do it right. You have to put your all into it. And so everything he did was first class. It really mattered to me. I'd been living with him for almost a year, and it was near the end of my senior year. And our church put on a banquet for my senior class. All the graduating seniors came. He found a man in the church that owned a ranch and knew how to fix the most delicious steaks you've ever tasted. So we set it up to have that banquet, and all the sponsors, all the students, everybody got a steak dinner. Big, thick steaks. They were amazing. I heard all of my friends were amazed at what he did. And then he brought in a special speaker who was really gifted, who talked to our class, and they really paid attention to what he had to say. And so he put on an amazing program that really elevated me in the eyes of a lot of my friends, and friends that weren't saved. But I learned this about my uncle. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it right. And if you're going to help him, you're going to do it right. Now, we took on a new job, and that was hauling hay, and we did it for 3 years, year-round. The summertime is usually the heavy hay hauling season. We hauled hay all year long because we pulled it out of stacks, and you could haul grass hay in the fall and early spring. The crop hay, that was typically only in the summer. But in the wintertime, we're pulling hay out of stacks. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's rat infested, and we're hauling it from one barn to another place. And so we're doing all this stuff year round. But there were times when I wanted to quit a job because maybe the guy who baled the hay did a terrible job, or some farmer baled his own hay and had no idea what he was doing. And I told my uncle, let's quit then. This is too tough. And he never quit but one job, and the one job was about 90% of the bales busted the minute we picked them up. And even before he quit, he brought the farmer out and said, look, I cannot haul this hay. And he showed him. He said, 90% of these bales come undone the minute you lift them. And the farmer agreed. He said, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I never saw him quit. He finished everything that he started. And that built something in me. It changed me. It changed me big time, because I learned if you're going to do anything, you do it well and you finish it. This is something that made a huge, huge difference. Everything was first class. Now, I came home from Bible school, and after I didn't graduate, only went a year, but all of my friends, every one of them, had a summer job as a youth pastor or some kind of traveling speaker, or they're going to go in a singing group. Everybody that I knew of was going to go be a part of some kind of public ministry over the summer, and I heard all of my friends doing that. And I knew what awaited me. When I got home, it was hauling hay. When I got home, when we got done hauling hay, we would go to the church. I, with a shovel and a wheelbarrow, laid out and did the foundation work for the new church auditorium. It was hard work. I remember digging those trenches where we pour the concrete. I didn't supervise the construction, but all the back-breaking stuff, that was my job. And so I had to do all of that. And at the time, I thought, this is the biggest waste of energy. I should be doing something different. I'm thinking about where all my friends are. But you know what? And I'm not putting any of my friends down, but I didn't hear about many of them having worldwide ministries like I did eventually. we had an amazing blow up in ministry. And I have to say that what made that blow up happen is that I made a commitment to finish, and whatever it was I was going to do, I'm going to do it right. And Jesus said it very clearly. If you're not doing this in the spiritual realm, you will not do, or in the natural realm, if you're not doing it with natural things, you won't do it with spiritual things. And so this training that he gave me was the very best training that I could have gotten. And there were times when I thought I was being passed by, I was being taken advantage of, that I was wasting my time, wasn't doing what I was trained for. But I learned to humble myself. And I have to tell you, there were 2-3 times that I came this close to quitting and walking away and saying, I'm done. I'm not coming back. Because he would correct me, he would show me things that I wasn't doing right, and I wanted to just wad it all up and throw it away. But this is one of the verses that I learned during that season, and it's a verse that saved my neck. It's Psalm 119, 165. Great peace. That means great stability, great stick-to-itness, great patience. There are all kinds of things that peace means. Great peace have they that love thy law, or thy word, and nothing shall offend them. Wow. And what I learned was never to be offended. That's why I'm known as one who sticks to it. I'm not a quitter. I do not quit. And I'm very careful about what I go after, but if I go after it, we're going to finish it, and we're going to do a great job with it. And I'm boasting in the Lord, but I've gotten to do so many wonderful things. We built a train at our Camp Dry Gulch called Christmas Train. We brought over 1 million people to ride it in 17 seasons. Tens of thousands, not a few hundred, tens of thousands of people, mainly children, gave their hearts to Christ when we did that train. We had a youth ministry that at one time was bringing in 3,000 teenagers every Wednesday night. There was a season when our church was one of the top 10 churches in America. John Maxwell told me that in the mid-90s. He stopped and he could count off the number of churches that he knew of that were bigger than us. And he said, I'd put you right about here. We were in the top 10, 15 in that period. We were able to do so many things simply because I learned how to do things with excellence and how I learned not to be a quitter. And my Uncle Keith Johnson deserves a tremendous amount of credit for what was put into me, because I didn't have it myself. That work ethic was not in me. I'll tell you this, that kind of work ethic is not in anybody. It has to be learned. It has to be trained. Someone else will have to step into your life and cultivate that in you. And there will be times that you may be tempted to throw in the towel, to get mad, to walk away, and to throw away everything you've worked for. But I'm telling you, I am so glad that I didn't do that, because that stickability is what gave me the power to stay till the breakthrough. And I will tell you this from my experience. Breakthrough doesn't come when everything is going great. Breakthrough comes when you are at your wit's end, when things are not going so well. In my life experience, that is when we've had the greatest miracles, the greatest advances, the greatest moves forward, the greatest open doors. All of that has come when we went through a hard period and stuck it out. So this mentor put in me that desire to do things right and to finish them. And it is such an important part of my life. I want to thank you for watching our podcast today. And if you really liked it, would you please give us a little thumbs up by clicking on that sign down below? And then I would encourage you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future podcasts, because they're all going to be good. And if you would like to support us financially, either with a one-time gift or recurring gift, You can do that by clicking on the link below or going to myfaithroots.com. Thank you so much for watching this program.